Weston Board of Trustees in order for a special meeting. If we could all stand for a pledge of allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. Let's see, roll call by clerk.
Maloney.
Here.
Cronin.
Here.
Ermeling.
Here.
Jordan.
Here.
Pincinot.
Present.
Wyland.
Jamie, you on?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. That's it.
Thank you.
Okay, public comments. I've got several here to read. I would like to, we did look into, I looked into the League of Municipalities, Wisconsin municipalities, on whether a sitting trustee should be able to do a public comment that a sitting trustee can vote on. And the question is answered with a no. And do you want me to read this into the record?
Please.
No, unless the subject matter of the governing body member intends to speak on was included in the meeting's public notice. The limited exception in Wisconsin Stat 19.84 Parent 2, allowing members of the public to bring up items not specifically on the agenda during a period of noticed public comment, is intended to allow local governments to be responsive to their constituents and to receive information from members of the public. However, it was not intended to allow members of the governmental bodies to bring up matters without placing them on the agenda and giving notice to the public. Given that members of the governmental bodies have ready access to the body's agendas, a body member's use of the 19.84 Parent 2 exception to discuss unnoticed subject matter would likely be seen as an impermissible attempt to circumvent the open meetings law's notice of requirements.
Okay, so you're saying you would prefer to read this letter into the record?
Is it by you?
Yes.
Okay.
So if you want to read it into the record and not have me, I'm good with that.
Same thing.
That would be the same thing.
I'd be glad to read it.
Sure. Go ahead. And then Sarah, if you could be number 3, I've got 2 more ahead of you, okay?
You bet.
All right. All right, number 1, I got a letter here, email here from Roy Mumper. Good morning, Mark. I would like to express my support for Husheng Zagami for the vacant Board of Trustee position. I have worked closely with Mr. Zagami for many years on several Weston committees. He is knowledgeable, insightful, and truly cares about the Weston community. In addition, his years of prior experience are very helpful in providing perspective and addressing issues. In summary, he is an outstanding person for the Board of Trustees. Please feel free to include this email and my support for Mr. Zagami in the public record at tonight's meeting. Regards, Roy R. Mumper. That's number 1. And I'm just gonna record that as 4:15. Number 2, President Maloney and Board of Trustees. I am unable to make the special meeting on Tuesday, the 15th, so I am submitting this email to provide public comment regarding the trustee vacancy. I have lived in the village of Weston for nearly 18 years. I appreciate Husheng Zagami's leadership and service to the village. I would like to convey my support for Mr. Zagami to continue that service by appointment to the trustee's vacancy. It is evident of his desire to serve by his run in this recent spring election. He put in the effort and received 2,292 votes of his fellow citizens. I believe that qualifies him and takes into account the voices of the residents of Weston. Thank you for consideration. Shannon Grapko, 6213 Quentin Street, Weston. And Sarah? Sure, if you want to.
Some of you may have noticed at the last Board of Trustees meeting, Jim wore an orange shirt. Why? Well, because we were in the midst of a contested election for the village president. And anyone who is from around here knows that hunters wear orange during hunting season. They wear orange to prevent being shot at. Clearly, this did not apply here, as staff in this board spent the last several weeks relentlessly attacking Jim. Today, you will see that his shirt is not orange. It is olive drab. Why? Because Marines proudly wear this color into combat. Since it's now clear that rounds are coming down range, he would like to dress the part. The definition of integrity is doing what's right, even if no one is watching. So to the board members and current president in this room, putting signs in the right of way is not the right thing to do, even if no one is watching. Equally as disappointing is willfully not enforcing the removal of these signs, which were inappropriately placed, all of which supported the staff's preferred candidate, even if they were properly reported and documented to be in violation of state and local regulations. He is not shocked by this blatant disregard for doing what is in the best interest of yourselves versus what is in the best interest of the 16,000 residents of the village of Weston. To Trustee Cronin, you have 2 little girls in your house. 20 years from now, those little girls will be all grown up, and it'll be interesting to see what they think of the behavior displayed by their father over the past few weeks. 20 years ago, this stuff could be forgotten, but today it is in the cloud and made available for eternity. It should make for some very interesting Facebook flashback timeline reminders and conversations at family dinner on Sundays. This clearly demonstrates that we all must do better and work harder. It demonstrates that there is a lack of accountability and transparency, but it does not change the fact that Jim will not give up and will not go away. He will keep asking why. He will keep looking for ways to make Weston a better place for everyone to live. He looks forward to working closely with all of you over the next 2 years, because in Weston, everyone eats.
Thank you. Any more public comments online or any turn into the clerk? No?
I
Okay.
just want to ask one more time for online, because we do have several people joining online. No one
Okay.
came off mute.
Okay. Moving to number 4, minutes from previous meetings. Acknowledge March 24th, 2025 Park and Recreation Committee meeting minutes.
So moved.
Moved by Ermeling,
Second.
second by Cronin. All those in favor say, anything on discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Unfinished business, I see none. Number 5, new business, discussion and or action on the appointment of a candidate to fill the trustee vacancy for the 2-year term of April 15th, 2025 through April 19th, 2025. Is that, do I nominate, I believe? Yes?
Yes.
Yes. And I'm sorry, Jim?
I'd like to make a motion to direct staff to prepare a plan of action to advertise the trustee vacancy on the Board of Trustees to serve until the next regular election in April of 2026, whereby the trustee vacancy will be filled by the decision of the electorate for the remainder of the 24-month term.
That's your motion?
That is my motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Jamie Wyland. Anything on the discussion? Yep.
So if we go to state statute 17.24, you want to pull that up, please? It states how to handle vacancies in village offices. So while you pull it up, I'll read it. It says, except and provided in 9.10, a vacancy in any elective village office may be filled by appointment as a majority of the members of the village board for the residue of the unexpired term, or until a special election is held as ordered by the village board, or an office may remain vacant until an election is held. A vacancy in an appointive office shall be filled in the same manner as original appointment. So for that statute, we have 3 options. 1, you leave that spot vacant. 2, you hold a special election, which could be in conjunction with the next Board of Trustees election in April, thereby minimizing the cost to the taxpayer. And it would be very similar to the school board vote that we just had, where if there were 4 people running for the 3 seats, the 4th person would be serve the 1-year term versus the 2.
A 3.
Yeah. And then, or we could hold a separate special election with an unknown cost and likely a poor voter turnout, because it's not a presidential election. It's not even a midterm. It would just be out there, right? Or the board could choose to appoint a replacement individual. That appointed individual could serve the remainder of the 24-month term, or they could be appointed until the next regular election, which would be next April, where the remaining term would be on the ballot to serve approximately 12 months or until the next odd year election. That's what my motion was referring to.
Okay. Any more discussion? Any more on discussion? All right, hearing no more, all those in favor of Jim's motion, vote yes.
Yes.
yes,
Okay. All those, not in favor, vote no.
No.
Okay, so that's a 4 against 2, it fails. Looking for another motion.
I'll make a motion to appoint Husheng Zagami to the term beginning April 15th, 2025 and ending April 19th, 2027.
Motion by Cronin to appoint Husheng Zagami to the April 15th, 2025 to April 19th, 2027 term, and second by Ermeling. On the question. Any questions? Jim?
Yes, so to clarify, we're not respecting the wishes of the voters that just voted 3 weeks ago.
No, we actually are. Yeah, we actually are with 2,292 votes. 21.3% voted for Husheng Zagami. 24% voted for you. 26.4 voted for Barb, and 27.3. So Husheng Zagami took out papers, ran, campaigned, and was in the election and got 2,292 votes from our residents. No one else got any votes other than that. So I don't understand the respect. We're not gonna respect 2,292 people if we deny this and go to somebody else. I disagree with you. Go ahead.
So I would agree with you, yes, the 2,292 votes were cast for Husheng Zagami. I'm not discounting that fact, okay? The problem I have is how this entire election was not transparent. In
Absolutely
January,
it was. It was absolutely.
May I finish, please?
Go right ahead.
In January 8th-ish, whenever all the election papers were turned in, this exact thing that's happening right now was a predetermined action.
Not true.
It absolutely was.
No,
true,
not
Mark.
true.
Please don't interrupt me.
Go ahead.
So the only way that there would not be a vacancy in the trustee spot right now is if someone got more votes for write-in for president than you got and I got. Okay, I don't recall what the total presidential vote was. I want to say it was 2,900-ish
Total?
for you.
The presidential is 2686 against 2216.
Okay.
A total vote of 4,929 votes, and 529 people didn't even bother to vote for either one of us because they came for the state Supreme Court. 529 people didn't even bother to vote for you or I because they came for Crawford or Schimmel. Go ahead.
Now, I would disagree with that.
No,
because you don't.
facts.
Mark, can I please finish
Go
without
ahead.
interruption?
Jump, go ahead.
So that may be your opinion, but you cannot prove that as fact, okay? And you can smile and smirk and think that it's funny, but I don't think that it's funny. I think elections are serious business.
I agree with you 100%.
Can I please finish without being
Absolutely.
interrupted?
Go right ahead.
So, yes, 500 people didn't also vote. Is it possible that maybe those 500 people didn't actually know what this is going to be, how this is going to work? We did an absolutely terrible job with showing our residents, hey, this is what will happen April 1st with a vote here and a vote here, right? We did not articulate to our residents and our voters, which I feel like we let them down. I assure you, there are people that left the ballot box on April 1st, or if they voted via absentee or early absentee, that were confused by, well, gosh, I see Mark and Jim are up here and they're also down ballot. What does that mean? So if I vote for Mark here, I still want him on the board, but gosh, I don't know if I want him as president, or vice versa with Jim. Or so what happens if Mark gets both positions? So then we have a vacated trustee. Well, gosh, I don't want that. I'm not going to cast a vote for Mark down here. I'll cast a vote for Husheng or whoever that is. It was predetermined, that outcome, that there would likely be a vacancy in the trustee January 8th or whatever date that the county clerk had to have election paperwork in. And between April 8th and now, it wasn't until I sent a message to the administrator and yourself that said, hey, are we going to communicate anything to the village residents? I believe I sent it on a Wednesday. It may have been a Thursday. But election day was Tuesday. So either the day after or right after that, I said, hey, how come we didn't have anything in the Weston newsletter outfit that went out and went emailed to everyone. It's free to email, right? So why didn't we tell our residents, hey, just so you know, guys, this is what's gonna happen. I mean, we got a half a dozen people in the audience. That's cool.
Mhm.
But you had how many people that were at the ballot box?
Mhm.
Thousands, right? 5,000-ish.
Mhm.
So you have 5,000 people at the ballot box and you get 6. You're telling me there's only 6 people that really wanna know what's going on here? I don't agree with that. And there's only 6 people that really only cared about the Supreme Court election? I don't agree with that.
So I'm just gonna state a few facts on the election. So 4 people ran for trustee. And by the way, Jim, you called me within days of papers being put in. Well, it wasn't right at the end. It was initially you made a phone call to me and said, we could technically have someone not on. I says, yes, we could. But I told you that day that if you were the 4th person, I would be nominating you here tonight. Whoever the 4th, I went on record telling the paper, the public and you were my first phone call. And I told you flat out, I would put whoever the 4th person is that doesn't get the vote. And I told you that I would be putting you on. Yep, 3 people ran for president and 3 people ran for trustee and along with Barb. And it's just the way it is. So 10,764 votes were cast for trustees in whatever order, or maybe singles, doubles, or triples. Out of that, 54-58 was our total vote. And 54-58 times 3 is 10,074 or 64. That was what was voted. 5,610 votes were not voted for trustees. 529 were not voted for president of the local elections. Now let's go to the Supreme Court. 53,361 votes were cast in Marathon County for the justice of the Wisconsin Supreme Court. 53,361. And the down vote on that was only 207. 207 people did not vote for the Supreme Court because that's why they came. We would have had about a 30 to 32% vote ratio for our residents if the Supreme Court wasn't on there, but I think we had a 58 to 60. What was it?
We only had, out of the total votes, we only had 32 people that did not vote for Supreme Court.
Right. But I mean, what was the percentage of our community?
Like 86, 87%.
Okay, so it was huge because of the Supreme Court.
I'm sorry, it
No,
wasn't that much. I'm sorry.
it was-
57.
Yeah, 57, and we thought it would be about 32 without it. I think it's relevant, and you may think it's not, that's fine, we can disagree on that. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, so I just want to clarify, Mark, I actually called you, you didn't
Mhm.
call me.
I said you called me.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely, you called me.
Maybe I misheard you.
No, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
So,
You
so
called
I
me.
called you when I
Mhm.
found out there was going to be a presidential primary, and
Yeah.
I explained that there's just law of averages, right? That there's a very good chance that one of the people running that exactly what I said on January 8th, that, hey, this is a likely, or the most likely outcome is that there will be a vacancy on the Board of Trustees, likely, because it's very unlikely that someone will get more write-in votes than either you or I for president. And that's the only way that there would not be a vacancy for the trustee seat. I 100% agree with you that you told the newspaper and publicly stated that you would appoint whoever the runner-up, I'll use that term, but I think we all know what that means, whoever the 4th vote getter was, right? For the vacancy. That is not what I said publicly. I publicly said to the newspaper, and it's in print, Brian Kowalski, I believe, was the journalist. And I told him I would ask for the people to decide.
Mhm.
And that's the exact motion that I made tonight.
Mhm.
I did not go back on my word. I said I would do exactly what I did, and that is what I did. So
Mhm.
I'm not saying that your way is wrong, but I'm also telling you my original intent was not, and still is not, to appoint the runner-up and not give the people a fair say
Mhm. Okay.
in what's going on. I have nothing
Okay.
further.
Okay, any more in discussion? All right, all those, just
I
to
have one
repeat.
thing I want to
Yeah.
add to that. So any person, anybody in the audience, anybody online could have done their diligence,
Mhm.
taken out papers, got their signatures and ran. Anybody could have done that. So I struggle with why we wouldn't want to appoint someone who put in that work, someone who has sat on this board for, I admittedly, I'm shocked that I don't know, but a number, you've been here as long as I've been here, I mean, which is 6 years or something of that nature, but that just floors me. why we would not appoint someone who put in the work. What kind of quality are we gonna get for someone that wasn't willing to put themselves out there to begin with? And I realize that sounds harsh, but that's the reality of it.
So I think trustee Jordan does a fantastic job here on the board. And the comment that you just made, I'm embarrassed for him to say that he didn't take out papers. The man is highly educated, he's able-bodied. There's no reason that he couldn't have taken out papers and ran against Jasper. But that doesn't mean that what he's doing here and has done for the last 6-ish months since he was appointed by this board doesn't matter and that he's not doing a good job. When we put Jasper's position up less than a year ago for that vacancy, which the same exact thing happened, but it happened 2 months after the election instead of a predetermined notion in January, which happened on election day or whenever you decided to vacate your duly elected trustee seat. The fact that we aren't opening it back up, we had 8 candidates, if I recall correctly, and I believe 6 or 7 of them came in, and all of which were likely good or qualified candidates. The board elected or chose, made the decision, a majority to choose trustee Jordan. And I'm not saying that they made a bad decision, but I'm also saying there's no reason why we can't do that again today. Yes, trustee Husheng or former trustee Husheng Zagami did go through the motions. He did take out papers. He's done it before. Joe hasn't done it before, and nothing against Joe, but that doesn't make him any less or worse of a trustee because he didn't take out papers in December. So the other 8 people that were there to interview, they didn't take out papers either. They didn't run against Jasper. They didn't run against Husheng. But to say that they shouldn't get a shake at it, I don't agree with that. That's not the will of the people. That's the will of the good old boys club. That's the will of 4 people.
I disagree. I think that's a slander, what you're trying to imply there. And we're talking 2,292 people. So you're completely discounting 2,292, 2.5% from the next vote getter. Barb?
Well, I guess what I want to say is, for a special election, we're going to have an expense and a very low turnout. I wouldn't agree with that at all. And if we're going to wait a year and not have a full board to represent the residents, I think that is wrong also. And I think Husheng has shown he is a good candidate for the appointment, whether he was on the ballot or not.
Jim?
Very well. Barb, maybe you misunderstood my motion, but my motion that I originally made 30 minutes ago, 22 minutes ago, was to appoint someone for the 1-year term. The special election would cost, Clerk Graham, would it cost anything extra if the special election happened on the same day as our next regular election in April or whatever day that might be?
I can't answer that right now. I'd have to contact the county.
But the turnout would be the same if they're voting for 3 trustees or 4. The school board literally just did this 3 weeks ago. Same exact situation. They appointed someone until the next regularly scheduled election to fill that short-term interim. And then whoever is elected, duly elected by the electorate on that date will fulfill the rest of that vacancy in that term. And then the clock just starts over and it's your 2-year staggered terms, just how it was. So Husheng could very well be appointed to that, serve for 11.5 months, and then it can go back to, or we could hold an interview process, just how we did to fill trustee Jordan's seat.
Well, the reason I am saying is I do not want to wait a year for the next trustee election to have only partial board. That is one of the reasons that we filled the position. Jasper resigned and we filled it with George because we wanted a full board. And I guess at this point in time, I don't know if we appointed with interviews. I mean, I don't know how much more qualified you can look for a candidate. That's all I'm gonna say on it.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second on the floor to appoint or elect Husheng Zagami to the April 15th, 2025 to April 19th, 2027. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
No.
I would ask for a roll call vote, please.
Roll call vote.
Maloney,
Aye.
Cronin,
I,
Ermeling,
Aye.
Jordan,
Aye.
Pincinel,
No.
Wyland,
No.
Okay. So the ayes have it, so moved.
Unreal.
What's that? Jamie, do you have a comment?
I do. I just can't believe we're appointing our own people. I don't understand why we're not having a special election or going through the
Okay, the discussion
interview
on-
process.
The discussion is over with. We had a discussion period, Jamie, and that was the time to discuss this, okay? I thought you had something else. Okay, thank you. At this time, I'd like to swear in the new trustee.
Just swear in everybody.
I'm sworn in.
Oh, yeah.
Am I,
guess
am I?
was- Yeah, I was
I'm sworn in.
I guess.
You need something, Pam?
She's just gonna look
Yeah,
up.
I'm sorry, I wasn't prepared. I will admit it.
Point of order, Mr. President, the motion that was made never stated that trustee appoint elect, however you say that, that Zagami would be sworn in immediately. It doesn't matter.
April 15, 2025.
Can you please restate the motion, Clerk Brame? That was just voted on?
I made the motion. That was the motion I made.
That's not what was read, but
Oh, okay.
it didn't say effective immediately. It didn't say effective April 15. That's fine if that's what it is, but that's not what was said. That's not what's on record.
He definitely read April 15, 2025, the April 19, 2027, and I repeated it. Jim. I did. I looked right at his and read this over again, because you like things repeated. So I did.
I don't recall that. I'm sorry.
Clerk Brame agrees that it was.
That was what it was.
Very well, thank you.
Okay. Is everyone sworn in, by the way? Any elected, I mean, did Jim and Barb swear in?
I am very unprepared.
Mhm.
They already took their oath
Oh,
of
yes,
office.
they all
following the
took
election.
their
Yes,
oath.
everyone, yes.
I just didn't have
Joe
anything ready
and-
for it.
And Steve do not have to, and then we'll do
Yes,
Husheng right now.
yes.
Okay.
But everyone else was.
So let's seat him whenever you're ready.
I
Okay?
have it ready and Jessica is running to get it off of the copier for me,
Okay,
but I
thank
can
you.
read it.
Mhm.
I apologize for not having that printed. But
Mhm.
it's not prepared for.
It only takes a second to go and grab it.
Mhm. Sure. That was a big
the
deal.
biggest
That was
comment.
huge. Well, it was confusing. Mhm.
Should we wrap it?
But I just
Otherwise, I
wanted to
can
see
read
it.
it off my computer.
Since you
That
can
would
do
be
it.
the other
yeah.
option.
She'll bring it, she'll be here in a second.
You know, because I said, well, and they said, yes.
Thank you.
Say one.
Mhm.
Trustees that weren't up for a reelection,
Mhm.
that would have been what they put. That was the biggest grumble on it.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. Shane? Over there.
Why don't you come on up here by the seats and we'll just do it in front of everything.
Oh, real, how's he doing? Okay.
If you could raise your right hand, please.
Oh, I wish I'd seen him. Mhm.
I, Husheng Sagami,
I, Hushain Zagami,
having been appointed to the office of trustee, but have not yet entered upon the duties thereof, swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin, and will faithfully discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability, so help me God.
I do.
Mhm.
If you could just sign right there, please. Thank you.
Okay. Welcome, Shane.
Welcome aboard.
These are the two current committee. These are the current committee. Pam, do you have one? Jamie, do you have one?
Yes, I could pull it up on the screen when you're ready to.
Okay. So that's current. And then the yellow ones here are the proposed that I have. Okay. That's
Oh,
current.
current, okay.
The yellow ones here are proposed.
Was gonna say.
I'll read through every one. I'll read through every line. Did you send, Jamie
I
Wyland one?
Sent it out,
All
yeah.
right, both sets?
Yeah, I'm looking.
Okay,
No,
you
I
got them,
think-
Jamie?
Yeah, yes, I do. Thank you.
All right. So running.
I'd like to make a motion, please.
Yeah.
I move to defer action until April 21, 2025, due to the list of potential appointments not being made available to the board for review in advance of the meeting as previously requested in January of 2025.
Motion by Pincinel to defer till the 21st. Is there a second? Is there
Yeah,
a second?
there's just so much. There's just so much to look through. I mean, can I have 5 minutes to look through this? I guess that's the issue.
I'm gonna actually
with
read through every line. So this isn't
Okay.
gonna be a real quick one. This is also how this has been done as long as I've been on the board. I'm not saying it's right. But it takes a while to contact people to get them committed. I had 2 weeks to do this. And so, but let's just start from the top left, Community Development Authority.
Point
Yes.
of order, we have a motion. on
Oh, I'm
the floor
sorry.
That was not
Jim?
seconded.
Yep, are we looking for a second on Jim's motion to defer to the 21st? We're looking for a second to defer to the 21st on putting this in motion, accepting. Hearing none, the motion fails. All right. So do we need to have this on the motion first and then I'll go through it, or should I just, let me just go through it. So Community Development Authority, current right now, it has Jim Pincinel and Steve Cronin as chair and vice chair. And it has Dave Deason, Michelle Knopf, Todd Hagedorn, Stephen Winkles, and a vacancy which we need to find. Michelle Knopf has said yes to another term. And I'm replacing Jim Pincinel with Barb Ermeling as chair. And then the rest remains the same. Commissioner of Weeds, Mark Maloney is on the Commissioner of Weeds. It used to be always the lesser trustee on there, and I kind of thought that was a little silly, so I always put the vice president and the president on Commissioner of Weeds and fence viewers. So I'm going to retain that spot. CWED, RLF, Jamie Gabart and Jessica Troutman, as it is current. CVB is a citizen appointee. Husheng Zagami is going to remain on there as a citizen. Community Life and Public Safety Clips, Jim Pincinel is doing a great job as chair, and he's going to remain the chair. Barb Ermeling enjoys this committee, is going to stay as vice chair. Katrina Clark, Kurt Kamke, Louis Serrero, Brent Olson, and John Zerwanka. And then ex officio is myself, Jamie Gabart, Chief Jeremy Hunt, Chief Josh Finke, and Roman McGuire. Everest Metro Joint Finance, Mark Maloney, president, is going to go another term. Jim Pincinel, trustee, and Jamie Wyland, trustee, will go another term on the Everest Metro Joint Finance. Everest Metro Police Commission is Ryan Simmons and Dave Eisenreich. As it is. Extraterritorial Zoning Committee, Steve Cronin, that all stays the same. There's no changes on there at all. Roy Mumper agreed for another term. Fence Viewers remains the same. Mark Maloney, Steve Cronin. Finance and Human Resource Committee, Barb Ermeling remains as chair. Jim Pincinel was vice chair. I am replacing Jim Pincinel, Mark Maloney. And Linda Hackbarth, Mickey Dirks Luby, Dennis Ferrara, Stephen Minell, and Brent Olson remain on the committee. Joint Review Board, Mark Maloney, president. Chet Strebe, Samantha Fensky, and Chris Nichols. NTC, Marathon County, and DC Everest, respectfully. Metropolitan Planning Organization, Mark Maloney, Michael Wadowski, and Jamie Gabart. Medevco is Jamie Gabart and Mark Maloney, as is. Mountain Bay Metro Police Commission, Ryan Simmons, Jeff Mahalik, Dan Vergine, and Jeff Wickersham. Dan Vergine has accepted another one-year term. And there'll be 2 terms up next year, Dan Vergine and Jeff Wickersham for the Mountain Bay Metro Police Commission. Mountain Bay Oversight Board, Mark Maloney remains on the board, Jim Pincinel remains on the board. And you can pencil in Husheng Zagami as the 3rd oversight board member. So that'll be Mark Maloney, Jim Pincinel, and Husheng Zagami on the Mountain Bay Metro Oversight Board. Park and Recreation, Jamie Weiland is doing a great job as chair on the parks. Barb Ermeling, vice chair, Katrina Clark, Roger Easker, and Dino Corvino. So there's no changes on Park and Recreation. Except Dino Corvino, excuse me. Dino Corvino accepted another term of 3 years. Planning Commission, Steve Cronin remains as chair. I'm now appointing as vice chair, Husheng Zagami. Joe Jordan as trustee, Roy Mumper, Gary Garnt, Dave Deason, and Travis Hoffman. The one caveat there is Gary Garnt has accepted another term from 25 to 28. Public Works and Utility Committee, we have an open chair position. I'm nominating Husheng Zagami. You can pencil that in. Joe Jordan, vice chair, Tom Hubbard, Roy Mumper, and Louis Serraro. Safer Board of Directors, Steve Cronin and Mark Maloney remains the same. Safer Fire Commission remains the same. Gene Jackin, citizen, and Scott Tatro. Let's see, the newest one there will be Scott Tatro next year in 26 for another 3-year term if he so chooses. Tourism Committee, Tourism Commission. Remaining on the board or on the commission will be Barb Ermeling, Husheng Zagami as citizen, and Kim Frederick as hotel rep. Off of the board, I am taking myself off the board and Jamie Weiland off the board of the Tourism Commission. And I'm suggesting nominating Dino Corvino and Renee Hodel. Let's see, those are all 1-year terms. Zoning Board of Appeals, Paul David, Dennis Lawrence, Mike Stenstrom, Robert Gascon, Richard Crump, Brent Montage, and James Langenkamp. All the last 3, Richard, Brent, and James, have all accepted another 3-year term. And board vice president remains the same as Steve Cronin. So those are the changes from the current. What's your pleasure?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Barb Ermeling,
No second.
second by Joe Jordan. On the discussion. Yep.
So to clarify, the 3 blanks on the right column here, oversight, Mountain Bay Oversight, Planning, and Public Works, those are all, trustees Zagami. Because we have picked, okay, very well.
Any more in the discussion?
I guess I'd like to request to be put back on tourism if that's possible.
We're
don't know
gonna,
if that's
I would
possible
like
or not.
to, I would like to remain
Yeah.
that as a 5-member commission and not a 6.
Okay, well, I how many, I guess, what other, this is why I don't like this handed out like minutes before a meeting. How many am I on? 1? How many
You're on
committees am
park.
I on? 2? I'm on
you-
2. I'm on parks and I'm on joint, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, well, why only 2? How many is Husheng on?
Husheng is on, Joe Jordan is on 2.
Well, I guess I'd like to
Joe-
request to be
no,
back
I've got it
on
right here.
tourism.
You're on 2, Joe Jordan is on 2, Jim is on 3. Steve Cronin, if you want to count fencing and all that stuff, but Steve Cronin is on 2, Husheng is on 5, and Barb is on 5. And I'm on, if you want to count all mine, I'm on two active ones, and then all the rest kind of ex officio. So I'm on 2 active and ex officio on the rest. It says in the, we read this last year, I've been reading a lot in the League of Municipalities, that the president should not be the chair of a commission or a committee. And that's why I'm pulling, that's why I'm pulling trustees off of the commission for tourism, because the tourism could actually be made up of all citizens and 1 hotelier. And we're way too heavy with trustees.
Wait, can I?
Well, if
no,
Barb's okay with
no.
it, since Barb's on 5, and if Barb's okay with it, I would like to be put back on tourism.
I'm not okay with it.
Barb is not okay with it. Jim?
Yeah, I'd like to.
Interesting. Thank you.
I'm glad you brought that up about tourism, that we could have more, citizen members. So I would like to see one more of our trustees removed, whether it's Barbara Husheng. I got nothing against either one of them, but up until the potential appointments this evening, there were 4. It was literally a carbon copy of the board and Kim Frederick, the hotelier, which is not an accurate representation of, as you were. So I would like to see one of those pulled off, and I would like to nominate Morgan Woodruff for the Tourism Commission.
We're right in the middle. We have to vote on this first. And then if this fails,
Oh, very well.
we can bring it back up.
Sure.
Wait,
So-
no, because no, point of order. There's no motion on the floor.
Oh, there's no motion? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I made a motion.
Oh, I apologize. I
He made
apologize. Okay.
Barb made a motion and
You are
Joel
correct.
seconded.
Yep.
Yep. So right now,
I
we
apologize. I was
are in
thinking-
discussion on the motion. We are in discussion on the motion. Any more discussion on the motion?
To clarify, the motion was to approve as presented, correct?
Correct. With Husheng penciled into 3 of the opens of all the vacancies. Yes. Hearing no more discussion, all those in favor say aye. Excuse me, roll call vote.
Mark Maloney,
Aye.
Steve Cronin,
Aye.
Barb Ermeling,
Aye.
Joe Jordan, Jim Pincinel,
No.
Jamie Wyland.
No.
So, motion passes 5-2,
Oh, I'm sorry, Husheng
Oh,
is again.
Husheng, I'm sorry. 4-2. Let's get one more. Now 5-2. Okay.
Welcome, Husheng.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I'm on CVB, which is they requesting trustee be there.
Mhm.
And whoever is there, it should be on tourism.
Mhm.
So when he goes to those meetings, he understand what's going on.
Mhm. I agree. And so technically you're there as a citizen on both, and then Barb is the one trustee there.
Correct.
Yep. It doesn't mean you don't, I mean, I'm gonna come to every one of the 4 tourism deals. And Jamie certainly is invited to come to them too. And we can certainly weigh in on what's being talked about and what's being asked for, so. Okay. So, discussion, okay, so 6 is finished, let's move on to 7. So discussion and or action on attorney referral request regarding March 17th, 2025 board determination to release of a portion of TIF development incentive for the property located at 2302 Schofield Avenue, project number 202-40110. What's your pleasure? Jim?
I'll make a motion to approve the attorney referral and ask staff to direct the request regarding the board's determination to release a portion of the TIF development incentives of the property located at 2302 Schofield Ave, project number 2024-0110 to the village attorney.
Motion by Pincinel. Is there a second? Is there a
I'll
second?
second.
Second by Wyland. On the discussion. Go ahead, Jim.
I think I answered my own question because I got the copy of the vouchers today, but we'll just clarify with the finance staff that's here. Have any funds been dispersed or checks been cut to the developer as of today's date?
I believe so.
I believe it was March 25 or March 27, if I recall that.
It was a couple weeks after the meeting.
Yeah, it was about a week after the meeting for some to the tune of 337,000, 335,000, something like that.
The amount that was approved.
Correct, right. Has the village assessor been contacted by staff to make a determination of the current valuation of the development
Yes, he has.
and the results of that?
$2,018,800.
Very well. Has the project architect issued a certificate stating the building has been substantially completed in accordance with the plans and is on file with the village of Weston?
We got notified today and it was filed in Madison prior to today. Yes.
Okay,
We also received a copy, so we
Yes.
have a copy, it is on
Okay.
file.
okay. Has the developer provided a list of expenditures with respect of actual costs for site preparation and construction?
That'd be you, Jen?
He has not
No,
yet.
he has not.
Okay, so those
Just the
things were
initial one that we got
Mhm.
with the application.
an estimate, but not an actual list of expenditures with respect to actual costs for site prep. That was in the development agreement, which was agreed upon, mutually agreed upon by both parties and approved by the Board of Trustees. Is staff aware that the developer has multiple properties in the village of Weston and in tax increment financing districts to include TIF 1 and TIF 2, which are delinquent on property taxes, to include PIN number 1902, 2808, 213, 09 or 9 or 7, 09 or 9 or 6, in the amounts of $1,303.47, $7,695.44, PIN number 1902, 2808, 183, 006, and 005. To the tune of $2,986.77, $24,326.31, for a grand total, if they were paid, which doesn't include the to date, but that's just what was on the county's website. $36,311.99, which is approximately 10% of the value of the grant requested. The developer currently owes the village of Weston for delinquent property tax and interest. Is staff aware
Is
of
it the
that?
village of Weston or Marathon County?
Harrison County,
It'd be Marathon County, correct?
they get the interest. they
Yeah,
get-
it'd be
they
Marathon
get the
County.
Tax.
Correct, they would get the interest, but who would get the property tax dollars that would go to the village of
I
Weston?
believe those dollars we'd be about 28,
So
29%.
They settle with us in August. We
Right.
get all delinquent.
Sure, yep, but they haven't been paid yet. You were aware that they were not paid and still cut the check, correct?
I didn't think that was part of the developer agreement that they had to have all outstanding taxes paid on other properties.
Very well. Has staff contacted the developer about his outstanding property tax liabilities and requested that they are paid in full before disbursement, which doesn't matter because it was already dispersed, but has staff contacted the developer about his outstanding property tax liabilities?
No, we have not.
Once the county settles with us in February, the village has no responsibility of the taxes anymore.
I would also say staff has not contacted anyone that may be delinquent on property taxes directly to tell them that they're delinquent. The county would send them.
It's the county's responsibility. They
Yeah,
send
that would be a
out
county,
notices right now.
And then this request for consideration has no recommendation by staff. Does staff have any recommendation on this request for consideration?
On what, to go to attorney?
Correct, yeah, that line said blank in the, unless I'm reading the packet wrong, but I believe it said no recommendation from staff, if you.
Well,
go
no,
to
it's
that.
your request. It's your letter and your request.
I understand
So now
that.
it's been brought from the administrator to the board.
Okay,
It's not brought by the staff. So
So-
staff is not recommending, it's your recommendation and it's your letter. If you read into that, your letter is actually requesting this and the next, and also number 8.
okay, so staff has no recommendation, thank you. No further questions.
Okay. So right now on the table, we have a motion by Jim Pincinel and a second by Jamie Wyland to refer this to the attorney. Yep.
We still need the attorney after all this is being done?
No, we don't. But he believes we do.
Do you?
I didn't know we cut the check yet, since we already cut the check. I don't know if the attorney needs to get involved for this. I really would like to see that, there's been a little due diligence, at least we contacted the assessor and found out that it made $2 million, that's good. Why we didn't do that before we took action a month ago, that's not good, that's not doing due diligence. The fact that the developer owes property tax, is delinquent on his property tax and other properties in the tax increment financing district, that was not disclosed to the Board of Trustees, that's not good. That's not doing due diligence. So does this have to go back? I don't know. I absolutely want to see the development agreement amended because you already paid out the man. So now what? Like, we're not even following our own development agreement. Why even have it? All we did was waste money on the front end and then waste money 5 times. This has been modified 5 times to re-record this stuff and change it, and we're not going to follow it. So why even have it?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
At this stage, we go to attorney, that's wasting our money.
So we have a motion and a second on the floor. Hearing no more discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? No.
No,
No,
So carried. I believe 5-2. You want a roll call?
I do not.
Okay. All right, 7. 8, discussion and or action on attorney referral request regarding development agreements. What's your pleasure?
I move to approve the attorney referral and ask staff to direct the request regarding the village's development agreement to the village attorney. And advise the attorney the tax liabilities owed by the developer and ask that he incorporates the language into all development agreements moving forward, which would prevent the dispersal of funds to a party who owes the village money.
Motion by Pincinel. Is there a second? Is there a second?
I will second.
Second by Wyland. On the question, have we ever held past taxes delinquent on anything ever? I've never heard this brought up.
So if there's a personal property tax, we
Right.
would like about a license, so
Yeah.
it has been done, but it's
Okay,
never.
so like on a tavern we have.
Well,
or
not
no?
just tavern, but anyone who gets a license,
Okay, okay,
it's been like
Okay.
restaurants and stuff.
all right. Any more questions?
Well, I guess I'm not sure what we wanna. Do we have to?
We still have, what I understood at the last meeting, Jen, is we have 25% still there and we, as a hold.
Yeah.
So we're, for landscaping,
The only thing
finishing.
we haven't finalized is the landscaping, and
Right.
we can't do that until probably late next month
Right.
when it's actually growing, so.
Right. Okay,
My other question
Oh, I'm
is,
sorry.
we've done this in the past, haven't we?
Yeah,
Yes,
you
we have.
guys have given
Yep.
partial back.
yeah, and not just us guys, other boards too.
Yes.
Yep. Husheng?
I don't quite understand why we going back to the attorney then.
I think Jim, I don't wanna put words in your mouth, but I think you would like this rewritten, the agreement. That now we've dispersed 75% of the funds.
We can,
Yeah.
in the middle of the,
Mhm,
now we
know.
wanted to
I know.
rewrite it.
I know.
I don't think that's a good idea.
Mhm,
You don't,
mhm.
you don't change a horse in the middle of the race. You just have to stay with that because he's gonna have a place to come back to us also and complain. Why are we changing it? Why should he sign it? He already spent $2.2 million on the project. There is no reason for him to change it or sign any agreement with us besides what he's already signed.
Okay, so any more discussion? Jim?
To clarify, you cannot verify they spent 2.2 million because the developer has never presented.
We don't have it yet, you're right.
We don't have that.
I
So-
just use your number.
I know,
when you said
I know.
2.2.
But
Thank you.
Jen has clarified that we do not have that yet, which, we're still in the middle of
I
it.
can ask.
We're at the end, yeah,
I am not
okay.
aware of anybody ever
Yeah.
asking for that,
Mhm. And
but
any
I
more
did
on-
not handle these before, so.
Okay, any more in the discussion? Any more in the discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of Jim's, the motion and second by Pincinel and Wyland, say aye.
Aye.
No,
No.
No.
roll call vote, please.
Maloney,
No.
Cronin,
No.
Ermeling,
No.
Jordan,
No.
Pincinel,
Yes.
Wyland,
Yes.
Sagami.
No,
Motion fails. Okay. 9, discussion and or action on a failure. Do you want that brought back up? No, on a failure is fine, okay. I just still sting from that commission vote that one time on the tourism, so.
The motion was in the affirmative and it was voted.
Okay, yep. 9, discussion and or action on approval of proclamation 2025-001 Arbor Day observance. What's your pleasure?
Motion to approve?
Motion to approve by Ermeling,
I'll second.
second by Cronin. On the discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Discussion and or action on acceptance of a Knowles Nelson Stewardship Program Outdoor Recreation Aids Grant. Contract for improvements at Yellow Banks Park.
Make a
Pleasure.
motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Cronin,
Second.
second by Jordan. On the discussion. Jim?
What is the total cost? It's not super clear in here because it talks about 90,000, then it talks about more, then it talks
Yeah,
about.
it goes from, Jim's right, it goes from like 90-some thousand to 107, and I was online last night, listening to it too a little bit. Is there more coming in? you know, I don't know if Jim wanted to ask that.
The difference between the 98 and the 107 was the fact
Yeah,
that our surveyor was gonna donate
right, that's right.
his cost, right?
Mhm.
Yep, there's $9,500 in surveying costs that were covered. But we also will have changes now based on the plan commission recommendation from last night.
Mhm.
So they suggested the curbing and the widening of the entryway and then light for the parking lot.
So what I read there today or whatever is 59,000 plus, right?
So the grant
The
itself
was
was
the 45
48.
Or 48,
48.
okay.
So 96,000 total. We ended up at 98 with the donated surveying and then the additional cost for the dock.
Yep.
It's because that jumped from 30 to 42,000 based on the ADA requirements.
How close is that development compared to the one by the roundabout on Ross Avenue?
That one was almost 200,000.
Yes, I know. So it was
So,
200,000 and then there was other funding on top of that.
yeah, and we got
So,
grants.
But we have a parking lot at Yellow Banks where we didn't have one. We had to do all that structure, right?
Yeah, there is a parking lot proposed with this
Yeah.
new launch, just to get people closer to the river. You know,
So-
because right now they're spread on the east and west sides and they're not actually
One more
on
question.
the river.
So are the two close in comparison? So if I'm doing a kayak, which I don't, and it's actually comical if you think I am. But if I go to Yellow Banks or I'm gonna go to the one on Ross Avenue, which one is going to be better?
Currently or after?
After it's, well, obviously after it's done.
After development, Yellow Banks will be better.
So it's gonna be less than half the money.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was concerned on how much money that Ross took, and then we went ahead and did the one on J, which didn't cost that much. But it's not as nice, it's not as detailed, it doesn't have paving, I don't believe, maybe it
It
does
is
now.
paved.
It is paved now,
yeah.
okay. Doesn't have a porta potty, or does it now? Okay, it does now?
I think it does.
No.
I don't think it does.
Oh, okay.
So it is less, and I was kind of okay with it, thinking of that, and I also thought, boy, it's really gonna put us on the map with kayaking. But to Jim's point, it's really not that clear on what's gonna cost the village.
So, based on what I put in the RFC, we're at
Yeah, I know.
98,000 total with the donated services. And like I said, the village is required to fund 48,000 based on the grant, because 96,000 was the projected cost.
Okay.
And we're around $28,000 in forced labor, which is village labor, materials, equipment.
Did you have another one?
Okay, so to clarify this, because I'm still a little bit confused, the total cost of the project to include, and this will be ADA accommodating, right? It'll be a gradual slope, this will be
But
only.
I can't give you total cost right now because we have to make changes based on the plan commission recommendation.
So the $99,000, $98,000, that isn't the total cost, because it doesn't include curb, it doesn't include the lights, right?
The lights and the
So
widening
we're
of the
probably
driveway.
10 or
And-
$15,000
and the widening
in
of the
curb.
driveway, correct.
And you're probably $10,000 or $15,000 in lights, you're probably another 30 grand on top of this, right?
Lights approximately 1,500, 2,000 for the
That
light.
gets power out there too, not just a pole?
Well,
or we're not running it all
There is
the way.
power along Northwestern already. So,
We'd utilize a WPS
WPS.
owned pole, so we'd probably just tap them unless that'd be the cheaper option is to utilize a WPS owned pole that we would then pay a monthly rent like we do for our streetlights
Okay.
versus trying to run conduit from one of our existing metered services.
Okay, so we have other grant funding of 22,500, right?
yes, we have,
Three other grants that were in there, total 22,500.
Yeah.
We have a grant for up to 48,000. Right, so you're roughly 70 grand, is that right?
Yeah.
So the village is responsible for the difference between $70,000 and whatever the total cost is, which is over 100.
yeah, well, we're at 98 right now. And like I said, curbing the lights.
With lights and curbs.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's really about just the grant amount at this point, so the 48,000. And we've discussed previously that there is funds available in parkland education if there were to be possibly an overrun beyond what forced labor, materials and equipment would be.
And would there not be a possibility in tourism dollars?
It's possible, yes. We've had great support. That's why we got the other grants.
We use tourism
Because
for,
that location is also part of the Great Pioneer Heritage Waterway.
we use
It's
tourism.
the
for-
only location on the Eau Claire that
Mhm.
is part of it. So that was part of the support, you know, with Kiwanis,
Right.
Arts Foundation, and the impact grant, and obviously being ADA accessible.
Yep.
It sounded like last night there was a developer that was interested in donating
Mhm.
part of their time and materials as well. Or
Yeah,
I
sounds
shouldn't
like-
say a developer, a contractor.
Right.
So that number may come down as well.
Jim?
So the least that we would pay is half of the 48,000, right? We will pay at least 24,000. Correct? So you have to give 50% of the 48?
No.
We have to give
50%
50%
of 96.
Yeah, 50% of the 98, okay.
96.
That's where the 49 comes from.
Okay,
So 48,000 is our total responsibility. We have 22.5 in grants, is what you stated.
okay. Makes
And
more
then
sense now.
that 28, like I said, is approximately what the village as far as forced labor, materials, equipment. So.
Okay. Any more on the question? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Discussion and or action on proceeding with the architectural and structural services for Kennedy Park. What's your pleasure?
Move to approve.
Move to approve by Zagami,
I'll second.
second by Wyland. Anything on the discussion? Jim? Oh, I'm sorry. Whoever was up first.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Hushain.
I'd like to see, even if you have to pay a little bit more to this architect to dress up whatever he can around the park. Not just look specific, well, he can look the bathroom and rest of the area, what they want him to do. I think he can add a little bit more to the park, but just dressing a little bit more around.
Who would be working with that? Sean and Michael or Sean? Both of you?
Yeah.
Do you understand what he's looking for?
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at more of like a landscape architecture around the park with other features.
Mhm.
He is spending a lot of money in there, a little bit more to the architect, I don't think it's gonna hurt, but it's gonna increase the value of the work.
Yep. Jim?
On page 33, the scope does not include baby changing station tables in the restrooms. I know that was a recently discussed item by Parks. Can we add that to the contract, please?
Yeah, we can make sure that's explicit. I mean, it just in general references restroom, but we can make sure those are included. Yep.
Okay, I mean, because it talks about sink and refrigerator and all that other stuff, so I would like to see that in there. And then also, I want to specifically call out which part numbers are preferred by staff. The last restroom we built at well 7 and 8. We paid to have designed and it was shuttered for months because it showed up with the wrong locks, but it was built with the locks that staff approved, inspected and said we're okay for this thing, and it stayed shuttered for months because we didn't have the right locks, which was kind of a poor excuse, but let's make sure we get locks and heaters and switches and lights or whatever else the holdup was over here, so we don't have that same holdup at the new one. We'd hate to do the same thing twice. So I don't know if you have to amend the services or we just have to ensure that when it comes back, we look at it, but whatever that looks like.
Are notes being taken on that?
Yep.
Yep,
Yeah.
okay, yes,
We won't do that again.
okay.
That was my bad.
Well, you know, it is what it is, so. Okay, any more on discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Number 12, discussion and or action on the contract with Go Full Nelson Marketing for the Kennedy Park renovation project. Your pleasure. Motion to approve by Ermeling,
I'll second.
second by Jordan. On the discussion.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
I'm probably gonna ask the same thing you are.
Is the funding from this coming from us or from the Friends of Kennedy Park?
Thank you.
It would come from the village. And it
From the
would
village.
come from remaining funds that we had set aside for marketing purposes.
Okay,
From the leftover ARPA, correct? That we originally slotted like 20 some or $30,000 for marketing with the last.
Yeah, about 25 and we
Maureen?
spent half, but it's,
We'll clarify, we can't use ARPA funds anymore. ARPA funds are spent. We are
Okay.
done with ARPA.
The dollars formerly known as ARPA.
Yes.
Whichever.
The dollars that we borrowed for street projects that we had to flip around, so Yes, I will be coming with next Monday, so at our meeting, we'll have a really good layout of how much was left from our designated ARPA funds that we ended up having to do this switcheroo for. And we also have some borrowed funds and we may or may not have some tourism funds, so I'll have a nice spreadsheet come Monday that we can see the total funds available for that project, village funded, so.
Okay. Yep.
Can we reassign this proposal to the Friends of Kennedy Park versus the Village of Weston? The Friends of Kennedy Park are supposed to be driving this entire thing, and I think if the proposal is with the Village of Weston, that peels us back into the envelope of where we're not supposed to be operating and raising funds for this, whichever. If the Friends of Kennedy Park are running this, they're raising all the funds. They need to take care of the marketing piece and make sure this all gets out. I would like to see the client change to Friends of Kennedy Park Incorporated or however their entity is written. Because then they are the main point of contact. We had a huge stall in 2024. There's very, very little action taken in that park on the biggest expenditure since this garage mahal we're sitting in the Village of Weston.
Is what? Is what? What'd you say?
I said it's the biggest expenditure since the garage mahal that we're sitting in.
Raj Mahal.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Weston Avenue is a very,
Yeah.
it's a larger project.
Mhm.
It's awesome.
Okay,
And multi-year.
okay. To his request, I would believe at that point, then we send it back to Parks. If he wants to change it at the board. I see Sean. Sean, go ahead.
So the recommendation at Parks was to change it to Friends of Kennedy Park, and that's why the proposal states the Friends of Kennedy Park as the client in care of Village of Weston.
And I asked for the care of Village of Weston to be on there because we will actually pay the invoice.
I see. I apologize. I was reading the original, not the updated, so that is my, carry on. I'm good with it as it is.
I was gonna ask the same thing, admittedly, like, it should be with the Friends, not, I understand if we're paying the bill, but
And then the piece for there was something on here for Representative Snyder. Is that still required, the entire piece of that? I get it. We did the ask letter and the stuff, but is there more things that need to get done with that or that need to get done with that at this time? Or is that on pause until?
It's a work in progress.
And I reached out to Representative Schneider's office just to ask if he had everything for the budget motion prepared. So I hope to hear back and I would know, but budget motions are getting developed now to get put forth before the joint finance committees that'll happen around the state.
Okay. Any more in discussion? Hearing none, we have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Number 13, discussion and or action on recommendation from the Park and Recreation Committee regarding Kennedy Park renovation naming rights request for field number 4 to be the Karen and Gary Rajek Memorial Field. What's your pleasure?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Ermeling,
Second.
second by Jordan. Anything on the question? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
I,
Opposed? So carried. 14, discussion and or action on recommendation from Park and Recreation Committee regarding Kennedy Park renovation naming rights request for the first light pole on field number 5 to be named in honor of Braden Bone.
I'll make a motion to approve the first light placed on field 5 of Kennedy Park renovation to be named in honor of Braden Bone.
Motion by Wyland, second by Pincinel. Anything on the question? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. 15, discussion and or action on 2025 crack ceiling bid award.
Move to approve.
Move to approve by Zagami,
second,
second by Jordan. Anything on the question? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
I,
Opposed? So carried. Discussion and or action on 2025 Gilsonite ceiling bid award.
Move to approve.
Move to approve by Zagami,
Second.
second by Jordan. Anything on the question? Yeah, I have a question. This Gilsonite is from what, Denver or Colorado or Utah or something?
Utah.
Utah. I thought you were kind of kidding last night.
No,
Okay, there we go.
where they find it.
That's where they find it and mine it
Yep.
and ship it. so.
Same.
Yeah, well, it's
It's just
Gilsonite,
very
it must be a trademark. No more on the discussion hearing, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. 17, discussion and or action on 2025 asphalt overlay bid award.
Move to approve.
Move to approve by Zagami,
Second.
second by Jordan. Anything on this discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. 18, discussion and or action on Shorey Avenue, CRX to Heron Street, repaving bid award.
I move to award the 2025 Shorey Ave repaving project to American Asphalt based on their total bid of $265,785 and 50 pennies for the section of Shorey Ave from County Road X to Anastasia Drive. I move to direct staff to put out bids for any additional repaving work in the village of Weston for 2025 to utilize funds allocated but not awarded for road maintenance and repairs. Please incorporate into the bid document that work can be completed or scheduled in accordance with other village projects to minimize mobilization costs by the contractor.
That's a motion by Pincinel. We need a second so I can ask a question.
Second.
Second by Zagami. The question is, are you correcting Heron Street with Anastasia? Or is Heron Street a mistake?
So, no, so Huron was the original bid, which is what was in our CIP. As we started, as we hit weight limit period here, that section to Anastasia is really from Huron to Anastasia. Well, actually from Huron all the way to Zinzer needs a lot of work, but getting a little bit more, I guess I was curious more than anything to see what the bids would come back at, to see if that was within our budget. And it did. They came in lower than I was expecting.
I
So
heard Anastasia last night too,
Yeah.
but so are we gonna correct this?
no, well,
Is
so
this-
the agenda item was that, but then, so the base bid is 203 and change, and then that add-on to go from here into Anastasia was an additional 62.6, which gets you to the 265,785.
So Jim's motion is
Jim's
correct.
motion covers
And
that.
it actually covers everything and then
Yeah.
Zagami carries it with the second. Okay, go ahead. On
So this-
discussion, Jim?
The second half of this was the same thing that we did last year of the actual bids for asphalt came in less than the projected bid. And I would like to see those dollars which are already budgeted for utilized for road improvements and repairs and not just left in the checkbook. Not that I'm want to spend a bunch of money, but if we don't fix the roads today, they're gonna be even worse tomorrow. And we already have these dollars budgeted. Last year, we were able to get, I don't know how many more miles or feet or inches or tons or however you calculate it, but we were able to get a fair.
Another mile.
Another mile of road done because the bids came in less. And I'd like to see another mile, you get another half mile, you get somebody's street fixed this year instead of next year or never. If we can.
Oh, mile's a big deal. Okay, any more in discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so carried. 19, discussion and or action on East Jelnik Avenue change order number 3.
Move to approve.
Move to approve by Zagami,
Second.
second by Jordan. Anything on the discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so carried. 20, a discussion and or action on Weston Avenue West Phase, change order number 2.
Move to approve.
Move to approve by Zagami,
Second.
second by Jordan. Anything on the discussion?
All this item was approved by the board.
Right, yep, and I was gonna say that all of them were approved last night.
Yes.
So we have a motion and a second on the floor, no discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Attorney referrals. Any attorney referrals? Administrator referrals. Remarks from trustees. Jim?
Welcome aboard, trustees Agami.
Thank you.
Joe?
I really appreciate the work you put into trying to figure out the commissions and I appreciate your compassion for the amount of time that's involved in doing that sort of stuff and trying to divide it up.
Well,
Good
thank
job.
you. Thank you. I don't make everybody happy, but it is what it is. Yep.
Well, hey, you
But
put in
thank
a
you.
big effort to do that. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Steve?
I've got nothing.
No, Hushain?
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Yep. Thank you for being back on the board. Barb?
No, nothing, just, thanks for all
Okay.
your work there
Yep.
and,
Mhm.
I hope we can have a productive 2 years.
Yep. And my remarks are, I was gonna bring jelly beans, but I can't have them. But, oh, I'm sorry, Jamie, I'm sorry.
Yes, I was waiting. Thank you.
I'm sorry, how's your boy?
He's not well. He just woke up from a
Okay.
nap and yeah,
Okay.
was holding his throat, but thank you for
Oh,
asking.
Okay,
So yeah, I actually do have something, and I just want to reiterate for the record during this open session, for parks, we did agree to have a small group planning that would continue. It's now been over 4 weeks and there still hasn't been a small group meeting scheduled. So, I just hope this isn't becoming a pattern again, and I'm hoping that we can schedule something soon.
okay, thank you. And my remarks are, I was gonna have jelly beans, but I can't have them, so nobody has them, so. But happy Easter, everybody, and, let's, move Weston forward. If you didn't hear last night, we have an A&W coming into the area. I know I wasn't supposed to talk about it, but I probably told 100 people today. And, that'll be really wild to get all that orange on there. Is that Harley orange or whatever color they do?
It'll be orange and brown.
That'll be exciting. Do we have an ETA on that? And I know this is remarks, but I can't help it, so.
They've got building permits in, so they
So-
have to do some work inside.
Okay.
And
So
then they're
cool.
painting the whole outside.
Oh, cool. That's exciting.
Same area where they hold it.
No, they're gonna be at the Fuzzies. And I think it's outstanding that they're reusing a property that's down, you
They're
know,
gonna add
so
another drive.
repurposing another building is phenomenal. I think it's fantastic. So that's good stuff. I won't be able to eat there, but I'm sorry, Michael.
There's not a staff spot here, but I don't know who knows, the Kennedy Park, first 2 baseball field bid package does go live tomorrow.
Oh, neat, exciting.
We had a lot of Kennedy Park and park related items on the agenda today, so just
Yeah.
want to let you know that there is movement there. So I know maybe it seemed like there wasn't a lot, but getting that design and
Oh.
survey and
It takes
going.
it takes a head of steam. I know the marketing kind of faltered for a bit, but
Yeah.
it seems like it's moving in a pretty good pace right now. Will that be live in person or on?
So that's, the bid documents go live tomorrow, so you can download them, contractors can start preparing their bids, and then the bid opening is May 7th.
May 7th?
Yep, and they'll be
So
here.
If you're here, they'll be out in their car adjusting them to the last second and then they run in.
Yeah.
If you've never seen a bid opening, seriously, it's pretty neat to see. It's pretty neat to see.
Can I grab one since Michael grabbed one?
What's that?
Can I grab a comment too?
Oh, sure, go ahead.
So tonight is the first meeting since we've done the stipend.
Yes,
So the 4 that went through election, these are the stipend sheets. So I will distribute them, but then we'll have them in the back of the room. So if you're eligible for a stipend and you're at a meeting, you just grab a stipend sheet, you write your name on it and the date, and then you can turn it back into whoever is clerking the meeting.
okay,
What's important is if you're on a public safety, that doesn't happen in this building, so you'll have to grab some sheets to take with you to the public safety meetings.
got it.
So they
And
can
if we
get
don't agree with it, we can always donate the money, correct?
what, like, you can donate the money to Kennedy Park.
Well, you take the taxes out first.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I
don't agree with
It
it.
wasn't
You're
funny.
right.
I know,
I
I
do not
know,
agree
I
with
know.
it.
Wasn't funny.
At all.
Wasn't funny. Okay. All right, thank you all. Looking for a motion to, oh no, excuse me. Next meeting date is next Monday, April 21st at 6 p.m. I believe at 4 o'clock, we have Tourism Commission, 4:30, right? For HR, finance?
5 for each.
5 o'clock for HR Finance, okay. But 4 o'clock Tourism, correct? Okay. And then the board to follow at 6 p.m. I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
By Ermeling,
Second.
second by Cronin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. We're adjourned at 7:18. Thank you all.